There's a strange thing about our 50s and 60s. For many of us, we actually feel very well. We can still work, travel, play sport, drive at night, keep up with life. And that's exactly why I want to make this video. I want to walk through the quiet health blind spots that I keep seeing in clinics, in people in their 50s and 60s. The blind spots are slow, quiet changes you adapt so smoothly that you don't notice what's shifting until something finally forces your attention. Four quiet areas today: eyesight, physical prowess and injury, judgment and balance, and the most silent of all, the internal numbers you cannot see, you cannot hear or feel, but that quietly shape your 70s and 80s. Let me start with eyesight. From about 40 onward, the lens inside the eye gradually stiffens. That's presbyopia. You adapt without realizing you're adapting. You hold your phone a little further away. You need brighter light. You avoid reading in dim restaurants. It doesn't feel like a problem because you can still get by. But that getting by is the blind spot. Then there's cataract change. Things become a bit more glaring. Headlights feel sharper at night. Halos appear. Contrast drops. Colors feel flatter. You don't notice the slow narrowing of your visual world until it is narrowed a lot. My patients often tell me after cataract surgery that the world looks new again. Some of them laugh and say, "Doctor, the only problem now is that I can see how many more age spots I actually have." It's the same kind of slow fade in skin. People say, "Oh, my skin is just dry." Yes, it is dry, but not because of what you did last month. It is what your skin has lived through over the last 50 years, 60 years. My point is not to discourage you, it is to say this: treat with greater vigilance and care what has served you well for the last half century: your eyesight, your hearing, teeth, joints, so it serves you for the next half. Something you check, maintain, and optimize, not something you only address when it becomes a crisis. Now, physical prowess. We carry a memory of our body from 20s and 30s, what we could do, how quickly we recovered, and because day to day life still feels fine, we quietly assume that our tendons, our joints can tolerate what they tolerated back then. Sport is where the assumption gets tested. I've seen this many times. Someone who's been playing tennis or badminton all their life goes for a ball the same way they always did, and suddenly tears a shoulder, an Achilles, or badly injures a knee. That's how injuries arrive, like an ambush. An Achilles during a quick push off, a shoulder that starts off as a little niggle and ends as a rotator cuff tear, a knee that swells a little and takes longer to settle each time. Here's the lesson. I say it with genuine respect. The goal is not to stop doing what you love. The goal is to turn down the intensity by choice rather than by injury that have to turn it down for you. Playing within your own age group doesn't mean playing timidly. It means longer warm ups, less hero intensity, more strength work, more recovery. Not five high intensity sessions a week, but maybe two or three that you can sustain for years and years to come. Train for continuity, not just for today's win. Now for judgment and balance. People tell me these stories almost casually. Doctor, I climbed up a ladder to clean the gutters and I fell. I went up for a little repair, just a little bit of repair of the roof. For 30 years, it was nothing. But I fell. But the risk has changed. Reaction time, balance, vision in low light, and the ability to catch yourself are not identical to when you were 30. Some people are lucky and they walk away. Others are not so lucky. Their life changes forever in 1 second after a big fall. I'm not saying don't do anything. I'm saying choose your risk with open eyes. Do it in good light. Don't do it when you're tired or rushing. Use proper equipment and sometimes outsource. Outsource the ladder job. Not because you're weak, but because you are thinking long term. Now, the last section, the most silent of all, the internal numbers you cannot feel. High blood pressure often has no symptoms. Cholesterol, atherosclerotic risk can be similar. Blood sugar and insulin resistance can drift quietly for years. You can feel completely fine and still be moving in the wrong direction. This is where metabolism matters. In your 50s and 60s, the margin for error shrinks. The second half of the century calls for a bit more prudence and awareness. Muscle mass tends to decline unless you actively maintain it. Muscle helps with glucose handling and it protects joints. It keeps you steady, it keeps you independent. When muscle drops and daily movement quietly drops too, the body often shifts toward more visceral fat. Visceral fat is the kind that you may not really notice in the mirror, but it shows up in your blood tests. That's where things like fatty liver or chronic kidney disease can quietly join some metabolic package. So, what do we do with all this without becoming anxious, without turning health into a second job, and without draining or drowning in checklists? We choose a smaller number of calm, sustainable habits that keeps us in the game. We treat eyesight and hearing like maintenance, not emergencies. We treat training as preparation for life, not for a sport. We respect recovery. We keep an eye on the numbers that matter over time, not just once. We look for trends, not drama. If you're in your 50s and 60s and you feel fine, that's good news. It means you have room to act early, calmly, without fear. This decade is not a countdown, it's a pivot point, a chance to protect your sight, your joints, your judgment and balance. Protect your brain and your blood vessels. And keep doing the things you love for longer. I'll share my own journey in a future reflection. For now, let me ask you a simple question. Which of these blind spots do you recognize most in yourself right now? Tell me in the comments because I do read them. And if this kind of calm, no hype health content is what you came here for, subscribe and share it with someone in their 50s or 60s who still feel fine and wants to stay that way.